Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to this very special episode of Cherokee Business Radio. Stone Payton here with you this morning, and today's program is brought to you in part by our community partner program, the Business RadioX Main Street Warriors, defending capitalism, promoting small business, and supporting our local community. For more information, go to mainstreetwarriors.org. And a special note of thanks to our title sponsor for the Cherokee chapter of Main Street Warriors, Diesel David Inc. Please go check them out at dieseldavid.com. And now it is my distinct pleasure to ask you to join us in welcoming back to the Business RadioX microphone with Seniors Helping Seniors, Miss Terri Haswell. How have you been?
Oh, I've been great, Stone. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a delight to have you back in the studio. Every time I'm out and about, whether it's in the BRX buggy or just walking around town, you are so active. You are in the community. What in the world have you got going on? What's happened since I've seen you last?
Goodness gracious, what has happened since I've seen you last? Well, we are just continuing to grow. And yes, I have been very busy. I love Woodstock. So of course, there's so many activities going on here. That's why we probably run into each other so much, because we love this community and we've been a part of it since 2008. So a long time. So we enjoy it.
So I have a personal update for you. I probably mentioned they were coming when you were in the studio, but since that time, my folks have moved here. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida. Mom and Dad are up there. They're 81 and 83. I've got them close. They're a 2-minute drive from my house in downtown Woodstock over off of Dupree.
Wonderful.
In the villages at Town Lake. And it is such a rich and rewarding time of life. Like, I'll probably swing by there today and have a cup of coffee. Or if it gets to be midday, I'll text Daddy and say, am I going to have to buy my own lunch today? And we'll meet at Jekyll, or, maybe we'll try out Roberto's tomorrow. But it's a real pleasure having them here. So that's my new personal update for you.
That is wonderful. It's always exciting to just be able to share that time with your parents, and the fact that they moved here is fantastic.
It is.
Not everybody's willing to move so quickly.
No,
that's great.
We feel very blessed. And I know you team up and try to serve so many different constituencies here and organizations, and you partner with them to serve. Who'd you bring with you this morning?
I brought Robin Reid. She is the program manager with the Alzheimer's Association, the Georgia chapter. And she and I are partnering together to bring some education to this community on dementia caregiving resources and communication strategies. So because I work with so many seniors and their families, I'm finding I went to Robin and I said, I'm looking at these clients and I absolutely love them, but we're walking into a time of struggle for them, because sometimes when you get this dementia diagnosis, it's overwhelming and people don't know what to do, so we're walking into that and being able to come alongside these families and the clients. But I just wanted to give them more support, like let them know that they're not alone in this journey. Let them know that there are resources out there. And honestly, I don't want to say this wrong, but just to not be afraid to address what's happening here, because I know it's so overwhelming and so emotional that sometimes it's hard to do that. People kind of shut down, until they have to face it. And no judgment at all, because we had that diagnosis with my dad, but then we also had the brain tumor diagnosis. So there was a lot going on there, and I understand the emotion. So me partnering, or our company partnering with Robin, comes from a place of experience of knowing what those emotions are like. And so I just want to let people know that we're here. We've got resources. You're not alone. And how can we help? So that's what this educational seminar, I guess you would call it, is all about next Saturday. So I brought her with me to tell us all about it.
Well, welcome to the broadcast, Miss Robin.
Thank you.
We are happy to have you. I got a ton of questions. we probably won't get to them all, but maybe a good place to start is if you could just share with us, me and our listeners, mission, purpose. What is it that you and your team are really out there trying to do for folks?
Well, again, thanks for this opportunity. And I thank Terri so much. we have a vision at the Alzheimer's Association to see a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. So our mission is to really provide care and awareness, advocate for people who are dealing with Alzheimer's, and just provide that care and support. So to her point, we want families to know when there's a diagnosis that you are not alone. We know that there is a stigma attached to dementia and Alzheimer's. The unknown is scary. It's a scary place to be. There are a lot of unknowns. And so we want them to know that there is an organization locally here that has resources. And probably one of the greatest resources we have is our 24/7 hotline, our helpline, which is 24/7, 365. You could call at 3:00 in the morning. You could call on a holiday.
Wow.
It is manned by master's level clinicians. And so they can answer any question you may have in regards to, okay, I've gotten a diagnosis. My mom's been diagnosed. What do I do now? Where do I go? What's my next step? And that's where a lot of families and individuals find themselves because, number one, we're not looking to have this diagnosis, right? Or maybe we've been in denial for some time. So we want them to know that there is someone there is support, and we want to help you sort of navigate this journey.
So how did you find yourself in this line of work? What's the Robin Reid backstory?
Well, it was totally unrelated to this field. My background is in television, believe it or not.
Wow.
I was a producer for about 17 years with the local NBC affiliate here in Atlanta. And so that's how I got connected to several nonprofit organizations, the Red Cross, Salvation Army, et cetera, et cetera. So I really found a love for community engagement. And so after I left television, I connected with a couple of other nonprofits, but eventually, I guess God led my steps here because I really wanted to do mission-driven work. And because I'm getting older, I'm moving towards this population. I wanted to do work that would help. And I have an affinity for seniors in the community. So it's been very fulfilling. So I've been here about 2 years.
So now that you've been at it a while, what are you finding the most rewarding? What's the most fun about it for you?
The most rewarding is really when you sort of see that light bulb go off when you tell people about the disease and you see that they've learned something and then they feel like, oh, okay, I have something that I can take away and I can use as a caregiver, or I have this information that may help me later down the road as I age. There are ways I can maybe be more cognizant of how I can live and be healthier. And then we just want people to know, again, when they see that, oh, wow, I didn't know that there was a support group in my community, or I didn't know that there was this education out there. So it's kind of when people sort of see like, oh, okay, this is very helpful. And you feel like you've given them something they can walk away with that will help them later.
Empowering.
Exactly.
I love that.
So this event and your thrust in general seems to have a very strong educational foundation, right? Educating the caregiver, educating the person going through this, helping them communicate. So what are some of the topics or things that you might be talking about on this upcoming event?
Yes. Well, we have a whole menu of topics within our education program. We start with the basics with a lot of, groups. What is Alzheimer's and dementia? Understanding what it is first. We have a great program that talks about the 10 warning signs. What's normal forgetfulness with aging and what may be a red flag. And in particular, this program that we'll be presenting on June 8th is a new program called the Empowered Caregiver Series. And it really focuses in on grassroots caregiving. So we're excited to provide this that's really sort of targeted to the average caregiver. This is for someone who may be caring for their mom or their grandparent or whomever. And it really talks about the basics of what is caregiving, how can you make it better for your loved one, and how can you have self-care to help you both get through the process and navigate daily.
So to my knowledge, which is a dangerous phrase right there because my knowledge is extremely limited, we're not there yet. My brother and I are not there yet. Russ just came up and we spent some time with mom and dad but there's probably some things I ought to be looking. I don't even know what questions to ask or like where do you start? Russ and I, we're obviously grown ourselves. And are there things we should be looking for, or things we should be prepared to absolutely do and absolutely not do that come to mind?
Well, in terms of, all of us are aging, and the aging population is growing, which is a good thing because we're living longer.
Yeah.
But, kind of start thinking now, whether there's a diagnosis or not. If there was one, what are some steps I could take now to prepare myself and my loved one? Do you have your, business in order, so to speak, as we all should anyway, as we're getting older. But if you think about, if one of us were to get a diagnosis, what type of care, because we know this is a progressive disease. So eventually you're going to need more care than just you probably taking care of your loved one. So kind of think about money matters. Think about, if I have a loved one who's diagnosed and I still have a career, if I travel when I work, what are going to be those resources I can call on to make sure that my loved one is taken care of, whether it's in my home, someone comes in, or if I have to place them in a new community? What are those options? So, a lot of families are devastated because they wait to have that conversation.
Well, everything you've just described, I can hear Russ and I saying, you know what, when you come back to town, we ought to sit down and talk about that. And I bet we've said that a half a dozen times, but we haven't really dived into it. It's one of those things that you're like, yeah, we need to have that conversation.
You put it off.
But you really
in
do.
In general, we put it off. I mean, how many people have a will?
Right.
So it's just those types of things to kind of start being proactive, and even in terms of just, healthy living. What are some things I could do for myself? Could I eat better? Could I exercise? I know I certainly could. I'm certainly in that group, but just those types of things. Cause we even have, one of our education topics is healthy living for your brain and body. So what could I do better? Just little things that may improve. Am I a smoker? Do I drink excessively? Am I eating a little too much sugar? It's just that general overall health, benefit. What could we do better just to help our overall health?
So tell us, what is a day in the life of Robin? Like, I know you're going to come, you're going to do this spot. No. and we got to get you out of here in time to go do other stuff.
Honestly, the one thing I enjoy about my job as a program manager, and just so you kind of understand the structure of the organization, we are a voluntary led, national organization. We're headquartered in Chicago, but here in Georgia, our brick and mortar headquarters is in Atlanta, but we have satellite offices around the state. So in my position as a program manager, we're all about education and awareness. We recruit volunteers to go out and help educate the community. But we each have a territory. So there are 4 of us. So we average about 40 counties each. We know Georgia has 159 counties. So, I go all the way up to the Tennessee line, and Cobb and Cherokee is more of my populated counties, but we each have a territory, and we all kind of work together to make sure that we're covering as much ground as we can. And a day in the life of, me in this position, there is a lot of time on the road, but we're getting out and we're creating relationships, which, working with Terri is a perfect example of, what we do. We reach out to the community because, this job is too big, and all of us who are in the service industry and trying to help other people, we have to work together. It's all about community. So we look for those opportunities to create partnerships and help us get the word out. So
Terri, say more about the collaboration, your motivation for being so involved in the community in general in this particular situation. Why and how? I mean, because it's a lot, right? You got this business to run too, right?
It is. But I mean, that's part of what we established this business for in the first place. Because like I said before, we're so ingrained in our community, and I feel like we wanted to do this to serve our community anyway. So not only do we go in to partner with clients and their families, and give them some of that respite care, give them some of that routine, help the families who are working full time, but yet have a loved one that they need to know are taken care of. We go in and we help with that also, but I feel like we want to do more than just that. We want, like I said, partner with, resources, community resources to be able to help educate, to be able to empower, to be able to love on, because caregivers, I was a caregiver, and when you're going in between your family and your parents and this and that, and then you have your job, and it can get tiring. So I have a real heart for even the family caregivers. And so I just want to try to find ways to be able to partner and help each and every group of people that we work with our clients who are seniors themselves, many of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing this because they have a heart for it. They want to do this. They need to make a little extra money, something like that. So whatever their purpose is, then the client obviously gets served as well. And then we serve the families too. So that's where I wanted to partner with her. And because, like I said, I've seen so many families where we've walked in and it's been rewarding because we've made a difference in the sense that, like, you can just feel the family member exhale, and to be able to do that, just to be able to exhale and to say, I haven't seen my mom happier, or I haven't seen my, we had this little couple, I'm getting chill bumps now, this little couple where the husband has dementia and the wife, he doesn't talk to her anymore. So it's really hard, so she's lonely, and there's a loneliness epidemic out there right now. I mean, the U.S. Surgeon General says there's a loneliness epidemic. So when this diagnosis comes, there becomes more isolation because you're overwhelmed. You can't necessarily leave your loved one. You don't know what to do. You don't know. You think you might be not the only one in it, but you just don't know where to go because you're just trying to keep your head above water. So when we went into this home, we were able to not only get a caregiver who is able to help the husband, but the wife gets a companion. She gets somebody that she can talk to.
Had not even thought about that. Makes a lot of sense.
It's a wonderful experience, but at the same time, I want to be able to now empower the daughter and, the other family members. Okay. So how do we, what can I be doing to do this? And I know that I try to tread gently because everybody handles this diagnosis differently. Some people face it head on. Others, like I've got a client where like they don't even talk about it or let her know that because it would terrify her if she knew she had it. So that's how they choose to do that. And again, no judgment at all, but I just feel like I need to tread lightly and then say, that's your choice, but here's some resources to help you navigate through that in case this does, that's what I want to be able to do is I'm not the expert, but I partner with people who are. Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. So Robin, I'm operating under the impression that like many industries, including radio, there's often a handful of common myths or mistakes or misconceptions or things that people ought to don't do. Is that the case in this?
Well, there's some misconceptions that, this is a normal part of aging. It's not. It's not expected that, you're over 65 now, you'll likely get dementia or, you'll develop this disease. It's more prevalent in, people 65 and over, but it's not to be expected that just because I'm nearing this age, then I'll likely get it. We try to educate people on, what may be more prevalent in a particular population. And that's where a lot of our research, we are really big into research. That's where our fundraising dollars go. It's really important because, if you think 10 years ago, even you wouldn't see these commercials on TV about these drugs that are coming out now. Right, and I won't go there and try to pronounce the names because that can be difficult. But, we've all seen in the news, it seems like every week there's a story related to dementia. And the good thing is that people are talking about it. And that's why education and awareness is so important. And I heard someone say a while back that, dementia and Alzheimer's is where cancer was 30, 40 years ago. And, people now are living with bouts of cancer. They may have 2 or 3 bouts and they're living active lives and they're getting their treatments and they're being successful. So we feel like we're moving in the right direction. Research is doing some amazing things. And so we're getting closer. So we believe there is hope. So it doesn't have to be, just that death sentence that people may feel when they hear the word dementia or Alzheimer's. Again, we want them to know that there are options. And even on our website, there's a wealth of information about what's the latest research. Where can I go to, in my neighborhood to talk to a neurologist, or who should I go to? So we try to provide all those resources at your fingertips. If, the first question, what do I do now? So that's a good resource to go to, alz.org or our 800 helpline. So we want people to know that, there are options and, you can kind of, the sooner you start educating yourself, the better you'll see, okay, there are some options.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like we are making strides. We have accomplished some things. We know some things to do. And so, like, I'll be 61 in August. I suspect there are things I could be doing now that would help me not.
Well, we encourage you, just like you exercise your body, exercise your brain, because it's all connected. So, as simple as I keep these little games on my phone. I love word finds.
Mm-hmm.
I even do the old fashioned ones where you literally circle the word. but, you're sitting in the doctor's office or you're at the airport or whatever, just exercise your brain. We encourage, learn a new language, take up a new hobby, anything that's going to challenge your brain. It gets those brain cells moving, is helpful. So,
well, that's good news. That's very encouraging for me because my wife she is a slave to she has got 3 or 4 word games, and that's the first thing that she does in the morning. And every now and again, just to include me, she'll ask me to help, and I'm like, baby, I'm not any good at this, but I'll try to help her on some of those. But that's good. It really can be good for you.
Yeah,
Keep that.
I mean, just exercise. Just keep you're using that muscle. It's making you think, and so just exercise it.
So what's the best way to get involved as a lay person, someone that, cause I would think there's probably some education for volunteers too, but but you don't have to know a lot about this to begin trying to help, right?
No, not at all. We have a variety of volunteer positions on our website. Anything from being a community educator, which is where you go out and you help educate the community. We will, give you your toolkit, so to speak. Most of our presentations have a PowerPoint that accompanies it. We could do a 30-minute presentation or an hour presentation, again, like those topics of what are the 10 warning signs, what's healthy living for your brain and body, communication skills. But all of our volunteers are trained, so we don't just say, okay, go forth and conquer. We, we ease you into it. If you want to be a support group facilitator, we train you on all of that because we want our volunteers, again, like you said, you don't have to be an expert. You just have to have a heart to help people. And the information is given in layman terms, as you said, so that pretty much anybody can understand it. You just need to get a good grasp of an understanding. And then we work with you. And when we recruit volunteers, we serve as the staff partner. So we're right there working with you, and we're partners in it. So.
I got to believe that would be incredibly rewarding. Now, the slot I'm looking for is ice guy. I'm ice guy at church. They just say, hey, we need more ice, Stone. I hop in the truck and I go get ice. but there's probably something, right?
Absolutely. I mean, even if you want to just be an ambassador, you're just helping people, know that we're there. We know that people are busy. They have busy careers. But if you're just one of those folks in the community who says, you know what, this may be something I should share with Robin to bring more information to this church or this civic group or whatever, just be our eyes and ears and help us know where those opportunities are and where there's a need and, help us connect the dots.
Absolutely.
And I've just started that program too. So I'm in the orientation phase of it to become an educator too. Yes.
With everything else she's doing, she's going to be a community educator.
Well, I want to gain the knowledge, to be able to do. Now, right now, could I go out and do that right now? No, but I could do it with clients. I could do it with families and stuff like that too, and have that background and have more education myself so that as I'm working with our clients and families, and then eventually be able to get out and do that as well and you could do the walk for Alzheimer's, which is coming up in October. So we have a team for that. So there's a way to help also.
Oh, tell me more about the walk.
So we have 20 walks across Georgia. So the large one for Atlanta is at the Battery, the Braves Park. But there are 20 across the state. And if you go to alz.org/walk, you will see all of them listed. There are 600 nationwide. And so most of these, as Terri said, happen in the fall, late September through November. And, the walk itself is probably a 2-hour commitment of your time. Even if you say, well, I don't know if I can walk the 3 miles or what have you, just come out and be a part because it is sort of like a party, a celebration. We have our beautiful Promise Garden where we have our colored flowers. Each color represents, if you're an advocate, if you have a loved one that you're walking for, that sort of thing. So it's a very inspirational and it's a celebration of, those folks who are dealing with it, and then all of us just coming together for the cause, raising money for more research. So alz.org, if you're interested, we love to have everyone come out and participate in the walk that's nearest you.
And the one in Cherokee County is October 19th up at Etowah River Park.
Oh, yes, beautiful up there.
Yep. So we will be doing that one for sure. Super excited. And we're doing it in honor of, again, my husband and I have been involved in our community, and we know the lives of all of our neighbors. Our next door neighbor last August, the wife, she passed away from dementia. And now her daughter is going to be one of our caregivers because she's going to take an experience that she went through and be able to help others with that too. But we are doing our walk in honor of her, Miss Chris Hickerson. So we want to honor that. And of course, we still go, and the next door neighbor, the guy, my husband and him, they watch golf all the time, that kind of thing too. So we're doing that in honor of her. So it is personal for us in that way as well.
Man, all these counties, all these places, all this activity are, and this very next thing we talked about at the top of the show, that's coming up June 8th.
June 8th. Yep. Next Saturday, or this coming Saturday, actually, at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. That's on Rose Creek Drive in Woodstock. It's from 10 to 11:30. And one of the things that we are doing here, well, a couple things. Our company is donating time for our caregivers to have caregivers on site. So if anybody wants to bring their loved one, because again, sometimes you feel like you're isolated, you don't feel like you can get out of the house or leave them alone for a certain amount of time or whatever. We want to have them be able to come and feel comfortable that they're in good hands while they're going and getting the education and the support and the resources that they need. And then we'll have our caregivers, with the loved ones, whether it's playing bingo or doing a little trivia or some music or something, just interacting and having that because that socialization can be very good, too. So, that way we'll do that. And then we're also having resource partners too. So, I've got the sheriff's department. I've had clients say, hey, I've heard about this thing it's a bracelet, and it's actually called Project Lifesaver that you can put on, it's like a bracelet. But if you have a wandering loved one and you can't find them or whatever, you can call the sheriff's department. They can locate with the GPS. Like there's all kinds of resources out there. Yeah. So, and then I've had a client ask about what do I do about fraud? And like, if I do leave her alone for a little while and she answers the phone and she's given away, like, how can we protect ourselves from fraud? And, different things like that. So I'm having, Healing House Mind and Body come as well, because they have some natural things or some things that you can do, or some fall risk tests and, just different things like that, so that people can, again, find out what other resources are out there for them and be able to be empowered when they leave. Not only get the education and the communication strategies and the support and say, hey, I'm not alone, look at all these other people, but they're also going to be able to walk away with some resources and know their loved one was taken care of while they're there.
Wow, you really are good at this. You have a talent and a heart, Terri, obviously, for bringing people together for a common cause.
That's connection inspiring. Is my number one strength in that sense, because out of the strengths tests and stuff, but that is the heart of our mission too. Our mission is to provide meaningful connection while also fulfilling the needs of our caregivers, our clients, and our families. So connecting is, that's what it's about. Again, I'm not the expert, but I'll partner with somebody who is an expert, right?
Right. Well, before we wrap, I want to make sure that our listeners know how to connect with you directly and learn more about your work, whatever coordinates you think are appropriate, website, email, LinkedIn, I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. So we are Seniors Helping Seniors, Northwest Atlanta. It's shsnorthwestatlanta.com. You can check us out there. And then do we want to give the information about registering for this?
Absolutely.
Too? Okay. So you can register for this upcoming, I guess we'll call it a seminar, an interactive workshop class, by calling 1-800-272-3900 or emailing Robin at ROREID@ALZ.org.
Nicely done. Well, Robin, it has been an absolute delight having you come on the show. I hope you'll consider coming back periodically, giving us an update.
I would love to.
And let us know when you have upcoming events and things happen. I think that would be a marvelous addition and wholly consistent with our whole community partner focus here at Business RadioX. All right, Miss Robin, let's let them know again. I know Terri did it for us, but let's give them your contact info one more time.
Yes. they can call our helpline to register for this particular seminar, as well as find other information at 800-272-3900. That is 24/7. And for this particular, if they'd like to email me to register, my email is roreid@alz.org. We'd love for you to register, but if you are unsure and, Friday night comes and you're like, oh man, I really still want to go, still come. There is definitely enough room. We just like to sort of get an idea of how many may be in attendance, but we want everyone who can and who needs this great information to come out. So if you are a caregiver or know someone who is caregiving and feel they would benefit, please share this information. We'd love to have them come out.
Yes, definitely.
You both are doing such important work, and we sure appreciate you. Thank you both so much for sharing your insight, your perspective. Keep up the good work, and I'm quite serious. Don't be a stranger. Come back and see me.
Thank you.
We're grateful that you had us. Thank you so much, Stone. It's a pleasure always seeing you again.
Absolutely my pleasure. All right. Until next time, this is Stone Payton for our guest today, Terri Haswell with Seniors Helping Seniors, and Robin Reid with Alzheimer's Association, Georgia chapter, and everyone here at the Business RadioX family saying we'll see you again on Cherokee Business Radio.